Well, shit. I don't even know how to necessarily begin. Other than with the promise that this will be our last video on any of this bullshit until an official casting or an official statement from Warner Brothers, which we probably won't get. I do stand by my source, our source, everything he previously told us in our second video about Batman, James Gunn, and all this bullshit. I saw an interview today that was sent to me by him with Andy Muschietti on a Argentinian podcast called La Birria del Caso. Check that out. Thanks for those guys for uploading that. And I fucking hated it. I told Griffin I saw it 7 times before I texted him, and I hated every second of it. Not because of Andy and not because of the brilliant guys over at the podcast. Shout out to those guys, but just what he was asked. They spoke for about an hour and 20 minutes. I want to say, and they spoke about everything, all of Andy's projects, all of his failed projects, the Flash, and how it was Andy who brought Ben Affleck to the Flash, and then we get to, of course, Brave and the Bold. And they asked Andy, and it saddens me, it angers me, it makes my fucking head hurt to hear what he has to say about this because it's betrayal. It's bullshit. Andy says that he's still very much the director of the Brave and the Bold, which I'm okay with. If they moved on from him, I would also be okay with that, but I'm okay with him continuing on. Um, but it just shows that James Gunn has either cut out all communication with Andy, and so has Warner Brothers, because we have James Gunn over there saying one thing, and then we have Matt Reeves saying another thing, and I'll get to him in a second. And then we have Andy, who seems very enthusiastic about this project, but he admits there's been delays, and he is heavily looking into continuing of starting a new project. I'm sorry, which has nothing to do with the Batman. Um, but that he's still very much the director, and that people at Warner Brothers like him, and that he is going to continue to knock that script out until the script is right and aligns with what James Gunn wants. He seems thrilled about the idea, and he says that Robert Pattinson's Batman is not going to be the main DCU Batman. The interview is in Spanish, so if you guys don't speak Spanish, I try to put subtitles on the interview, but and we'll link it below, but there seems to be none. But those of you like myself who speak Spanish, there's not a language barrier there. I completely understand what Andy's saying, and he sounds like he still wants to do this, but he also says that and I agree with this part. There shouldn't be two Batmans at the same time because it's just, one's going to do better than the other. It's going to affect one, and that's just, from a business standpoint, it's stupid. This interview is 20 hours old, so it's fresh. So it's not like, oh, you guys don't know which, and I know before somebody sounds off in the comments like, dude, this is your third video. You switch off and on. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You guys need to understand that James Gunn changes his fucking mind like the wind. He'll say one thing, and it's not. Go to his Twitter if you don't believe me. Look at tweets from 5 months ago. It makes no fucking sense as to what's going on today. So, yes, there was the meetings that we told you guys about, but I want to be clear on that. Andy was never a part of any of those meetings, which also is fucking weird. He was never invited. He was never texted. There was nothing. Andy's over here in Argentina with these dudes talking about Batman, and Matt Reeves and James Gunn are over there doing God knows what. So again, this interview is 20 hours old, 21 hours old at this time. And so it's the freshest Andy Muschietti interview that we have. And remember, he did another one, a different podcast about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, which didn't sound great. I feel bad for Andy. I mean, is he the world's greatest director and writer? No, he's not. But is it his fault? I'll stand by this. The Flash was just shitstorm long before Andy came aboard. I really do think the dude did the best he could with that project. Let's be honest, that was going to be a shitstorm. Is he the best choice for Batman? I don't know. But I don't like the way he's being treated. He's being treated like Cavill, like Gal, like Patty, and like Ben. And there should be transparency. James Gunn should just be like, dude, hey, thanks, man. We're moving away from you. And make an announcement. No one's going to be mad except maybe Andy, but just the limbo with part of it, just leaving the dude there like thinking, yeah, I'm still a part of this it's kind of like a relationship when you think that she still loves you and she's out there texting other dudes. Just be honest, just be like it's done and over with. And if not, then yeah, just say no, Andy. I really wish James Gunn would have the balls to come out and say, no, Andy's still a part of this. He's still directing it. He's the guy I'm going with. Because that would make me feel a lot better. On the other hand, and yet to add to this shit, Matt Reeves was asked at the Golden Globes, was Robert Pattinson's Batman going to be part of the DCU? And I fucking hated his answer. I know he can't just come out and say, but here's the thing. I've been standing behind Matt Reeves when I shouldn't have. When he was announced as the director for Ben Affleck's Batman, he was just supposed to come on, direct, and write, and Ben was still going to play Batman. He was asked, and he said, "No, yeah, Ben Affleck's still going to be Batman, and yes, this is still very much part of the DCEU." Knowing all along he wanted his shit completely separate. Now he was asked if Rob Pattinson's going to be part of the DCU Batman, and he was like, well, we have to see how it. We have to see what the future holds. We have to see how things go, and that to me alludes to what we said in our first video that executives want that because it makes financial sense. I will admit that, and that he's being pressured into it. And yes, he probably stormed out of several meetings and he said no. But let's be honest. At the end of the day, maybe they're offering him a way to complete his epic crime saga. Hate that fucking title and still incorporate his Batman into this. I don't like it, man. I just don't think that Rob, although he's a good Batman, I don't think he fits the DCU narrative. But who the hell knows? But his answers, oh, I don't know. I still want to complete my epic crime saga. But point blank, hey, so is he joining? Is he a separate Batman? Well, we don't really know. And then they asked James Gunn, hey, what the hell's going on? And he presented, bless you, he presented a bunch of artwork and things like that. And as I said in the previous video, and I got confirmation from our source, that was the case. Maybe that was just to appease Reeves's mind, all the while leaving Andy out of the loop. And now they asked him, they're like, hey, so what, I mean, is that Rob Pattinson's Batman in that, in that image, in that cameo? His answer is the answer I've hated the worst out of all three of these dudes. So they asked him, is this Robert Pattinson's Batman? Is this DCU Batman, Batman Brave and the Bold? Like, what is it? And he said, that's DCU Batman, which that's a vague fucking way to answer. It's his way of getting away with shit. It's his way of like, well, I can change my mind later because I never said it was Brave and the Bold Batman. I said it's DCU Batman, which is the same goddamn fucking thing. Because he has stated numerous times that Matt Reeves is doing an Elseworld story and Brave and the Bold is DCU. So for him to now say, oh, it's DCU Batman, it's just him trying to be slick and sneaky. Now, and I'll stand by this. They've had several meetings, but again, they could have just been to appease Matt Reeves to calm him the fuck down, and then later on, and I did say this in our second interview, in our second video. At the end of the day, James Gunn has the power to tell Reeves, guess what? We're incorporating your fucking Batman into this because it makes financially no goddamn sense to have two Batmans competing against each other because one's going to do better than the other. Chances are, because of who's the better director, that Pattinson's Batman would do better than Andy Muschietti's Batman, unless that's just the best fucking movie ever. And so if I, looking at it from a financial point of view, as a businessman, I would just incorporate Pattinson's. Is that what I want to see? No. But from a business point of view, from a money-making machine, that's what the suits want. And 9 times out of 10, the suits get what they want. Remember what happened with the previous iteration. I don't know, I'm just mad. I'm going to let Griff tell his thoughts, but fuck this.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, this just goes back to what I've been saying for over a year now. James Gunn just confirmed way too much, way too early, and he's starting to regret his decisions as he's getting boxed into a corner and wants to change things. Yes, he can change things, and he likely will. That's just going to happen. I still stand by what I said. I don't want Robert Pattinson as the main DCU Batman. I'm okay with James Gunn's answer saying that Batman is just DCU's Batman. Sure, I get it. It is a very non-committal answer, but it is the correct answer, especially if you're unsure. That's the
It's the
correct answer.
politically correct answer, but I always hate those politically correct answers because it's a way for you to get away with saying something now and then later on changing your mind.
Yeah,
You know,
and
it's like, is he going to be blue and gray? Maybe. And then later on, you could be like, he's black, but you could just be like, I never said yes. You
yeah,
know,
I mean,
that kind of shit. And then James Gunn changes his mind. He was called out by Ray Fisher about a couple of things, and he was like, no, that never happened. He was like, the tweets were deleted. He was like, Twitter deletes things after several months, Ray. Dude, if I would have a lot more respect for the man if he would come out and say, look, we are moving away from Andy, and it just makes sense to have one Batman at a time. We're going with Pattinson. That's not what I want, but I would have more respect for the man as opposed to all of this bullshit. If I was James Gunn, I'd be on the phone with Andy right now and be like, dude, get off the fucking podcasts. You're making me look like a dumbass, which he does a very good job of that all by himself. I don't know what the fuck Peter Safran's doing. He runs the business side of this. So if he's the business savvy guy, he should be whispering in Gunn's ear, hey, you should just have one Batman. Pick one, dude. We haven't even casted the other one. And now James Gunn's saying, I'm not really ready to commit to all of these um artwork images. That that sounds to me like he's really being told, hey, or at the very least, he's saying, shit, yeah, maybe Peter and him are having meetings, and maybe Peter's gotten in his ear, and maybe he's saying, yeah, it makes financial sense to have one Batman. It does to me. I'm telling you, having two Batmans, although I would love it, because I could even have TV Batman too at the same time. But just because it makes sense to me doesn't mean it's going to make money. Makes what's going to make money? One good ass Batman. Remember back when Nolan was doing his Batman? There's a reason why he really pushed Warner Brothers. Let me finish my shit and then do whatever the hell it is you want with Batman. Because his argument was if you have two, one's going to fail. It's going to be weird. He was completely right about it. I have people, friends of mine, who are common audience members. I'm not sure if that's the word right now. I'm all over the place, but they're like, why is there talks of two Batmans at the same time? I'm like, they're not the same. I'm like, no. They're like, well, why the fuck? And I'm like, I don't know, because it's say what you want. Nolan's trilogy was done by the time Affleck took on the role. It was a very, and it was obvious. It was a very separate universe, a very different styled Batman. So people understood that. But if you have them both at the same time, and now what Andy's saying is like one will come out before the other one. So what are you talking about? There's going to be like a 2 year gap in between Batman movies. And at the rate we're going, so the Batman Part Two is going to come out in 2027. So then when the fuck is Brave and the Bold going to come out? 2030? I, I do promise. Griffin will stand by me. This is our last video on this until we have direct confirmation from James Gunn, fucking Warner Brothers, and we'll see what happens. But if I was a betting man, I think we're moving away from Andy, and I think that although I was very happy to announce in our previous video because of that image, and that image, say what you want about what I'm saying right now. You could say that I'm talking shit, I'm talking out of my ass, but that image directly confirmed that there were two different Batmans. They in no way look alike. So now I'm unhappy again.